I'll tell you one word for that: nonsense. And this may actually be the better wheel for you. £350 just for the wheel rim in the UK. Obviously it will vary in different territories, so it's expensive, but is it any good? Now, I bought this with my own money, so there's no outside influence here. I can tell you exactly what I think of it without anybody being upset because they paid me for a review and things like that, or gave me the item for nothing. I bought this, so I can tell you if it's good, bad, or somewhere in between, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. First of all, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It really, really does. The materials are high quality. That's Alcantara on the top and bottom and leather on the sides. It really is a very, very nice looking piece of kit. Let's just talk ever so quickly about the build quality, because that is actually important. The materials the item uses and how well built it is, to a certain degree, will decide how well force feedback is portrayed from your base unit to the wheel itself. Now, it's a very solid bit of kit. There's no flex or noise from it at all. It's absolutely fantastic, really, really well made, and I love the way it's all put together as well, and these magnetic shifters as well, really, really high quality. And it does use that new Thrustmaster quick release standard, so this is only going to be compatible with a T518 or T818, so do bear that in mind. You can't actually use this on earlier wheels, but on earlier bases, but it's actually really, really well made. Absolutely love that side of it. Right, so let's take it out of there and see what it's like to actually use in games. I'm going to try it in Gran Turismo 7, Formula 1, WRC 10 and Forza Horizon 5. So a nice variety of games there, ranging from the sim type up to the arcade type. Now, I do have to say, it feels completely at home in something like Gran Turismo 7, which makes sense. Gran Turismo 7 is all about hypercars, supercars and things like that, and it is a hypercar wheel. So most of the cars it is completely suited to, and in particular the GT races absolutely feels amazing in these, particularly the ones where you get to change the fuel between lean and power, because you can change that on this encoder here. You can change your brake balance on the one here, and you can change your traction control over here, which is all well and good. Now, the only issue I've got with this ever so slightly is that these encoders here feel like they could have been just ever so slightly near your grip, because I've not got small hands, and the way these are positioned, you would have thought that from the normal position of holding the wheel, you'd be able to reach those, so you can just like reach out and change your fuel between lean and power without changing your grip on the wheel, because this is important. A lot of the time you'll be coming out of a corner on something like that, and you want to be able to just come out of a corner, just play around with that and just adjust it really quickly. But I do have to actually change my hand position. I've either got to move it towards the top and move my thumb down, which is a bit of a stretch as well, feels a bit awkward. But what I tend to do is just lift my hand off ever so slightly and change it that way. But I've still got to change my hand position, which is not ideal. If these were just an extra inch this way, that would have made all the difference in the world. Not quite sure where they are, but maybe that's where they are in hypercars in real life. I don't know. The other thing I would say, which is a bit odd at first, takes a little bit of getting used to, is the paddle shifters. They're quite a long way away from the back of the wheel, which at first feels a bit weird. If you're used to something like the SF1000, the paddle shifters are really close to the wheel. You literally you're racing and you can just literally get them just straight away, really easy, and they're just feel near and they're super responsive. These are super responsive because they're magnetic shifters as well, but they're probably twice as far away as what they are on the F1 wheel. It may be the difference between a real life car you drive on the road, like a hypercar, and an F1 car, but they just feel a little bit far away. You still, I can still reach them. It's okay, but they just feel a little bit of a stretch. And again, if you've got smaller hands or stubbier fingers, you may find that a little bit weird at first, and it take a little bit of getting used to, but you will get used to it. So it's not really a fault, just pointing it out. So when we race in Gran Turismo, like I say, it feels absolutely fantastic in the hands. The way it responds with force feedback is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely love it. You can change your traction control on the fly, and you could do your fuel if you were in one of the races where it was applied. You can change your viewpoint really easily. Everything's just right there, exactly where you kind of expect it to be, and it feels absolutely fantastic to use. These higher quality materials really showing through But what about something like Formula One? Well, I'm totally used to using something like this, the SF1000 for Formula One games. It's the correct size. By correct size, I mean the correct diameter, because in F1 games you need those quick responsive movements. You're not trying to catch slides and drifts and things like that. Well, I hope not anyway in Formula One, and that is why they're the size that they are. A small wheel, any movement is going to translate to on-screen movement really quickly. A massive wheel, that same amount of turn that would respond with this instantly, is going to be hardly anything on a massive wheel. So that's why like F1 is the size that it is, but this is a lot bigger. Let's put this side by side. So we put that right onto the edge. Look at that. That is a big difference. That really is a huge difference in sim racing terms. So let's just see what this is like to use in Formula One, because I am used to this. I've never actually tried to use this in F1 before, so this is going to be kind of intriguing. Right, so let's try it out in Formula One for the first time ever. Wow, see, instantly then I was turning that corner too late, because the same amount of turn input with this wheel is different to what I get with the F1 wheel. It's interesting. Let's see what happens again. I've got to overcompensate. Yeah, I've got to turn the wheel what feels like a lot more. Got a lot more hand movement on this, turning the wheel to go around any given corner, than you have with a F1 wheel. So when you're doing those really quick motions, those really quick movements, it feels like I'm driving a lorry compared. If you imagine like a huge wheel in F1, let's exaggerate the, I'm all over the place, this is really strange. If you imagine like a massive wheel, like a lorry wheel, or a bus driver wheel in F1, you just physically wouldn't be able to turn the thing enough to go around the corners. You'd be like this, it'd be insane. So you've got to do those really fast movements, sort of overcompensated then. So, if you got this rim and you want to use it in F1, and you've got the stock wheel which is slightly smaller, I'd still say that was a better wheel for F1, because of the diameter, and it is really important. But having said that, you may get used to it. Like, I don't think you'll still be as good as with a smaller diameter wheel, but I think you could get used to it. If you bought this and you spent the money on it, and you thought, well, I spent 350 quid on this, or whatever, and I've also spent money on the base, I went wide again there, all race games, I think you could get used to it. But all I'm saying is, for whatever your amount of talent is in F1 games, you will get better times with a small, I've gone wide again, can't get used to it, on a smaller diameter F1 type wheel. It's just fact, because the quicker you put those inputs in, the quicker you can get the right racing line, the quicker you can duck and dive between other cars, the quicker you can get the right apex, everything, and quicker responds to basically just better lap times. So it's just as simple as that, really. But I think you'd get used to it, and I think you'd still have a whale of a time. The force feedback still feels absolutely wonderful in F1 through this wheel. The quality of the materials and how well built it is really just results in some fantastic feeling force feedback. I've heard some strange comments about people saying that the extra weight of this wheel means they've had to put the force feedback up or something on the wheel to max settings, because they're losing force feedback as opposed to the stock wheel. I'll tell you one word for that: nonsense. The actual force feedback you still get through this is, if not better, than what you get through the stock wheel. If I was going to go one way or the other, I would say I feel slightly more through this, because the quality of the materials are transferring that force feedback through to me in a better way, with more depth and a bit more clarity. Next up, WRC. What's it like to race in WRC type games? Well, it's absolutely fantastic. It kind of feels a bit like Gran Turismo in the way that it just feels just perfect. The diameter of the wheel works for the kind of races and cars we're dealing with here. The force feedback again is absolutely wonderful. This is actually one of the best force feedback experiences I've actually had with a wheel like this. It really is absolutely awesome. Oh, I love the way it shudders and shakes through certain bends and stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. You feel every single bit of force feedback with this rim. You really do, absolutely love it. And the diameter means you can slide and catch slides, and it doesn't feel like it's too big or too small. It feels absolutely spot on. And finally, what's it like in arcade style races like Forza Horizon 5, where the control can be a little bit wild in places, particularly when you go off-road, but you still want a decent experience. Just tell you what I think at the same time. I've used this wheel quite a lot in this game. I used to play it with the stock wheel quite a bit, but changing over to this one, again, it feels just that much more in depth. It feels just that much more immersive to play, just because of the overall quality of the wheel. Really loads of fun, even though when you go off-road it is a little bit wild, shall we say. Obviously you can play around with the different viewpoints to your heart's content and get one that feels right for you, and it feels fantastic. It feels like you're playing hypercar races with the correct kind of wheel, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like that slightly cheaper wheel that comes with the T598 as the original stock wheel, that one I just showed a second ago, and overall feels just a part of the game, as it should be, and it just feels great. It's like, it feels like an upgrade when you're playing this game. It really does. Right, let's take it off-road. What's it like off-road? The force feedback in this game when you go off-road is absolutely off the chart mental. Really good fun though, absolutely fantastic. Right, so overall, is the Hypercar wheel worth it? Is it worth your money? Should you buy one? Well, that's obviously subjective on your income. If you are about to remortgage the house to purchase this thing or something like that, then probably not. Or if you're gonna have to starve the dog or cat, then maybe not. But if you've got the disposable income and this is your hobby and you can afford it comfortably, then it is a totally worthwhile purchase. I mean, the build quality is off the chart for me. This stitched leather on the side is beautiful. The Alcantara on top is absolutely lovely. Complement each other really nice, and all the materials are very high grade and good quality, and all the switches feel good as well, and they feel like they're going to last. The only type of game type I would say you're better off with maybe this, or where you might come unstuck with this rather, is if you play VR a lot. If you play VR a lot, then this may actually be the better wheel for you. And the reason is, like, the buttons on this stock wheel that come with the T598, these buttons here, the XO, square, triangle, L2 and R2, in sets of 3, they're all raised slightly higher than the other one. The square is slightly higher than the X, and the L2 is slightly higher than the square. What this means is, when you're playing VR and you can't actually see the wheel because you've got your headset on, you know very quickly which buttons you're about to press by touch, which is very important. I'm not going to say you can't do that with this wheel. It's just not as intuitive, and you will get there at first. And if you can't see what you're doing, you do actually have to sort of get used to where those dials are and things like that. If I'm not looking, you may fumble just ever so slightly at first before finding it. So it's not quite as intuitive in VR. So for me, that stock wheel does have a slight advantage there. But for all other race types apart from F1, for GT races, hypercar races, sports car races, rally races, this thing is off the chart brilliant. So if you do those races mostly, then this is a fantastic purchase. It really is. If you do F1 more, then maybe like not so good, because an F1 type wheel, or even that basic wheel that comes with the T598, is a better size, better suited to F1. But there it is, there's the video. Thoroughly recommend it. Again, I bought it with my own money, so no outside influences here. No one's sort of asked me to say good things or bad things. I'm just saying it as it is. The only downsides I would say about it is on those encoders there, you do have to actually adjust your hand position slightly, which the position of them kind of suggests that the idea is that you just reach across and adjust them without actually adjusting the grip on your wheel. But you do have to actually adjust that slightly, but maybe that's just me just nitpicking, just trying to find something to have a little bit of a grumble about, because surely nothing's perfect. But anyway, there it is, there's the video. If you enjoyed it, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. It really does help. But most of all, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.